When did we start needing a master class in squatter eviction from a Chicago homeowner? Marco Velasquez found two people camping out in his Southside property, claiming they had a mortgage on his house. Most of us would call the cops, wait 6 months for the courts, and watch our property get destroyed. Not this guy. He grabbed some friends and literally moved in with the squatters, making himself at home in his own living room while the fraudsters hid in the bedroom. Brilliant power move or desperate last resort? Either way, it exposes how our property rights have crumbled into a bad joke, where the punchline costs homeowners thousands. In the end, Velasquez still had to pay these scammers $4,300 to leave because in 2025, the people who break into your house somehow have more rights than you do. Let's dig in. Squatters refused to leave a Chicago man's property, so he just moved in with them. An Illinois man took a dramatic step earlier this year when a pair of alleged squatters occupied a home he owns on Chicago's South Side, temporarily moving in with the pair to deter them from staying. You've got to appreciate the absolute audacity of this power move. Marco just said, "Fine, you won't leave my house. I'll bring over a six-pack and some friends, and we'll have a little unwanted roommate situation." It's like the homeowner version of psychological warfare. But let's be honest, the fact that this is what someone has to resort to in 2025 is absolutely insane. We've created a system where breaking into someone's property and refusing to leave somehow gives you more rights than the person whose name is on the deed. This isn't just a failure of our laws. It's a complete inversion of what property rights are supposed to be about. I said, I'm not going to leave. Called a couple friends, stayed overnight, and I knew they were not going to like that. Marco Velasquez, owner of the house, told ABC7 Chicago. Velasquez found out about the individuals, whom he identified as Shermaine C. Powell and Cordero T. Dorsey, when his realtor visited the property and allegedly discovered the pair inside. Can we just pause for a second and imagine what that call from the realtor must have been like? "Hey, Marco, good news and bad news. Bad news, there are complete strangers living in your house. Good news, they've decorated. And look at the names here. Shermaine Powell and Cordero Dorsey. These aren't desperate homeless people seeking shelter. This has all the hallmarks of a professional squatting operation. These folks know exactly what they're doing and exactly how the system works. And why wouldn't they? The risk-reward ratio is completely in their favor. Best case scenario, they get months of free housing. Worst case, the owner pays them to leave, which is, spoiler alert, exactly what ended up happening. I'm not a criminal mastermind. But even I can see why this scam is becoming more popular. The realtor captured video of the couple telling police they paid into a mortgage on the property and had a right to be there, according to Velasquez. Soon after spending the night in the living room, watching the alleged squatters hide out in a bedroom, Velasquez said he came to realize the individuals wouldn't be pressured to leave and that a court-ordered eviction could take months. Wait, they told the police they had a mortgage on his house? These are Olympic-level mental gymnasts. They just forged a document, waved it in front of police, and suddenly they've got tenant rights? And notice how the police didn't even bother to, check the county records to see who actually owns the place. This is what happens when we've overcomplicated our property laws to the point where cops just throw up their hands and say, "This looks like a civil matter. Figure it out yourself." Meanwhile, Marco is sitting in his own living room like some kind of house guest in his own property, while these scammers barricade themselves in the bedroom. It's like a bizarre reality show. Extreme Home Takeover, Squatter Edition. And the worst part is realizing that even his creative solution wasn't enough. The legal system is so broken that eviction would still take months. We're talking about someone who legally owns a property with fraudsters inside, and the system basically tells him to kick rocks and wait half a year. Velasquez says Powell and Dorsey presented police with a mortgage document not found on record with Cook County, and that he later reached a legal agreement to pay the pair $4,300 to leave the property by March 5th. The property owner said Chicago police are working on the case and told him Powell was the same individual arrested earlier this month and accused of a similar Chicago area squatting scheme featuring a mortgage document. Hold up, he had to pay them $4,300 to leave his own property? That's not rent. That's not a settlement. That's a straight-up extortion payment. This is literally rewarding criminal behavior. And the cherry on top of this garbage sundae is that Powell was already known to police for pulling the exact same scam elsewhere. This isn't just a failure of our civil courts, it's a failure of our entire legal system. When someone is running the exact same fraud multiple times, that's not a civil dispute anymore. That's a criminal enterprise. Yet here we are treating these professional scammers like they're just confused tenants with legitimate grievances. And where's the police department in all this? Working on the case? Great. I'm sure that's very comforting to Marco as he writes a $4,300 check to the people who broke into his house. I've seen DMVs move faster than this kind of justice. We didn't want to give them money, but we heard really bad stories about squatters taking over properties for 6, 8, 10 months, even a year, Velasquez told the station. Powell, for her part, told ABC 7 she is innocent until proven guilty. The Independent has contacted the Chicago Police Department for comment and was unable to reach Dorsey for comment. 6, 8, 10 months, even a year. Let that sink in. That's how long legitimate property owners can be locked out of their own properties by complete strangers. Marco's not making an investment decision here. He's making a hostage negotiation. And I love Powell's response. Innocent until proven guilty. Sure, that's true in criminal court, but you can't just invoke the Fifth Amendment when you're caught red-handed in someone else's living room. Notice how these squatters know exactly what to say to the media, too. They're not amateurs. This is a calculated operation by people who understand exactly how broken our system is. Meanwhile, the Chicago PD is giving the standard no comment treatment, probably because they know how bad this looks. I guarantee you if Marco had changed his own locks to keep them out, he'd be the one facing charges. Earlier this month, Illinois Senate Bill 1563, known as the Squatter Bill, advanced out of a state House of Representatives committee to head to the full chamber for approval. We are so much closer than we have ever been, State Representative LaShawn Ford told local media of the effort. Oh, so this is happening all over Chicago? Shocking, absolutely shocking. And look at what's happening in the legislature. They're trying to pass something called the Squatter Bill. Like this is some new phenomenon that nobody could have predicted. Hey, here's a thought. Maybe we shouldn't need special legislation to establish that breaking into someone's property and refusing to leave is, already illegal? I appreciate Representative Ford's enthusiasm about being so much closer than we have ever been, but closer to what exactly? Common sense, the bare minimum protection of property rights. It's like celebrating that we're closer than ever to agreeing that stealing cars is bad. And while the politicians pat themselves on the back for potentially, someday, maybe fixing this, actual homeowners like Marco are paying thousands in ransom money just to access their own property. This isn't progress. It's a complete indictment of how far we've fallen. Real estate agents have long warned of squatter scams in the Chicago area. They flipped over the sign, the Coldwell Banker sign. It says sold. And then they changed the locks. They installed a Ring doorbell. Real estate agent Arian McDuffie told Fox 32 Chicago last year of one such alleged incident. When McDuffie approached the alleged squatters, she said they told her to get off our property. They installed a Ring doorbell. That's the level of boldness we're dealing with here. These aren't desperate people seeking shelter. They're setting up shop. They're acting like homeowners, complete with security systems and the audacity to tell the real estate agent to get off our property. I mean, you almost have to admire the sheer confidence of that move. Almost. You know who this really hurts beyond the individual homeowners? The communities these properties are in. When houses sit in legal limbo for months, when legitimate sales get delayed, when property values get affected, everyone suffers. And let's be clear about something else. This isn't just happening in Chicago. We're seeing this same pattern play out across the country, from New York to California, wherever tenant protections have been twisted so far that they've become squatter protections instead. At some point, We need to recognize that a system that forces property owners to pay ransom to criminals is a system that has completely failed its most basic purpose. Until we fix that, stories like Marco's will just keep multiplying, and I guarantee you, most owners won't be as creative as he was with their solutions. When the system's so broken that squatters have more rights than homeowners, we've reimagined property rights out of existence. Marco had to cough up $4,300 in extortion money just to reclaim what was already his, a perfect snapshot of how our laws reward criminals while punishing the people who actually follow the rules. It's like we've built a legal system that's the Spirit Airlines of justice. You pay full price, but get absolutely nothing in return. Are we really going to keep pretending this is working? Drop your thoughts below on whether you'd have the guts to move in with your own squatters, because these days creative solutions might be all we have left until lawmakers wake up.